ACEF and ACAF asked companies and all self-employed to comply responsibly with the mandates of the state of alarm decreed in Spain, showing their confidence that the measures are effective in guaranteeing the health of us all. Likewise, they support the manifestations and claims of other associations, considering that the Spanish government must to put in place mechanisms that guarantee liquidity to companies, especially SMEs and the self-employed. Urgent measures are required, such as the suspension of the company's obligation to pay contributions and access to employment protection for workers without requiring a grace period and without prejudice to the recognition of future unemployment benefits. Deferral and fractioning of payment are also necessary for all the tax payments that have to be made by companies that have suffered a significant drop in their income or an increase in expenses. In this sense, the group of self-employed is in a particularly difficult situation that also requires a suspension of social contributions, the payment of sick leave from the first day, and the articulation of a termination benefit from an extraordinary fund. Lastly, there is an urgent need to put in place a line of public aid sufficient to facilitate access to credit by companies and for public administrations to immediately pay their suppliers the pending and received invoices and to speed up the pending tax refunds. They also value the amazing work being carried out by the human team that supports both public and private healthcare. For its part, the Association for the Defense of Consumers and Banks, Saving Banks and Insurance Users has reinforced its information systems and maintains its work in defense of consumer rights. They have strengthened their remote and online attention systems to avoid displacement and have established new channels of customer service such as video conferencing and WhatsApp. For ADICAE, cancellations of services, difficulties in paying mortgages, credits, taxes, the need to guarantee basic supplies and other aspects should be the object of attention and measures in the state of alarm. The associations consider to be necessary a series of urgent measures such as establishing moratoriums and making the payments of consumer commitments derived from mortgage, credits, taxes, and other more flexible, as well as preventing cuts in the supply of basic services such as electricity, gas, water, and even telephone and internet, as long as the state of alarm and/or the restrictive measures linked to the current crisis are maintained. They also propose to remove any restrictions on electronic and card payments in the form of minimum amounts, given the role of physical money as a potential transmitter of the coronavirus, and clarification of whether the suspension of procedural deadlines extends to launch orders judicial of the habitual residence. Finally, they emphasize the guarantee of the return of the amounts paid for services not finally rendered due to the COVID-19 crisis or the measures adopted in the face of it, such as travel, accommodation or shows, as well as carrying out dissemination campaigns of the claim channels online available to consumers and the maintenance of activity of consumer associations. All this together with the strengthening of the task of surveillance and monitoring of abusive practices, both in terms of prices and in other areas already announced by the government so far, and in which dialogue with consumer associations as a privileged agent for their proximity to the reality of the consumers is key.